Hey everybody, this is Tim at the University of Vinyl. I am back today. I'm going to do a vinyl finds video. I haven't done one of these in about a month, and I've got some really cool titles that I've had a lot of luck in picking up over the last 3 weeks or so. I got to give a shout out to the new record shop in Fort Collins, one of the new ones. I frequent them all, but lately, Charles from Driver 8 Records has really been pulling in some interesting collections and some great records. And you've got to be there at the right time in the right place. I've been lucky, and I'm going to showcase a few of those records and some other records from other places near and far. Stay tuned. This is Mysterioso. This is the Thelonious Monk Quartet from 1958, recorded live at the legendary Five Spot Cafe. This is an incredible recording, great album. Monk just continues to amaze me. I'm starting to kind of dig into him more and more, and just his style, and you could there's some humor in his playing, and supreme confidence. Also, the quartet at this point in time included Johnny Griffin on tenor sax. What an amazing player, and he almost overshadows Monk. But Monk was smart enough to kind of let Griffin kind of lead where it was necessary. Some of these solos by Johnny Griffin on this album are amazing. This is a 2012 OJC Original Jazz Classics. I love these titles. The pressings are great. They sound amazing, and you can find them for $25 or less. This is the stereo version, and it was issued on that what they call the reel-to-reel Riverside label in that kind of greenish teal and white. If you're getting into Monk, or you're looking to get into more Monk, Mysterioso 1958, amazing recording. Next up is a record I have been looking for a long time. Last summer I picked up Brighter Later at a record shop down in Longmont, Colorado. Not an original pressing, but it was the Back to Black version, which sounds amazing. But I have been looking for Five Leaves Left, and what I have here is a 2000 Simply Vinyl 180 gram reissue. Really well done. This is an amazing recording. Features Richard Thompson helping out on electric guitar. Gatefold. Issued on the pink vinyl label. Most likely a digital source for this, because I understand the original master tapes are either lost or just can't be used any longer. This was recorded in London at the famous Studio Techniques studio in Chelsea. It was an old dairy barn. The building is still there. A lot of the John Martin albums from the early 70s were recorded at the same place. Jethro Tull, Nick Drake, of course. Pink Floyd did, I think, a single there. I think the Who have recorded there. This came with the heavy-duty PVC sleeve. There you can see that kind of hype sticker. Hopefully that's coming through. And on the back there was also a sticker. keep hearing things about PVC, so I'm not going to keep the record in this heavy duty sleeve, but simply vinyl, really good pressing. You know, these original and reissues are astronomical if you can even find them. You can go cherry pick those on Discogs, but the prices these days for these three Nick Drake albums are just through the roof. This record sounds fantastic, and it is an emotional, just an evocative listen. Nick Drake was an amazing musician, and these songs were recorded so well, and they took a lot of time with 5 Leaves Left. I've seen a couple interviews with Joe Boyd, who produced this record, and the other two as well, Nick Drake albums. But happy to add this one to the collection. Next up is Bob Mould's first solo album called Workbook. I was lucky enough to find an original pressing down at Absolute Vinyl in Longmont, Colorado. Thank you, Doug. Shout out to Doug Gaddy. Doug does the Instagram flip videos, and sure enough, he had this on a video and held it for me for about a month until I was able to get down to Longmont. There's Bob. This was photographed in a farmhouse in northern Minnesota after the kind of dissolution of Husker Du. Bob bought a house in northern Minnesota and kind of workshopped all of these amazing songs. There's a bit of a connection here with Nick Drake and Richard Thompson. There's a lot of Richard Thompson in some of these songs. You will hear a lot of similarities in the guitar playing. And if there's one album, if you're not familiar with Bob Mould or Husker Du or Sugar, or you're not a fan of Husker Du and you haven't heard the solo album Workbook, this is a really amazing album, and it's I'd say half of it is kind of acoustic based and definitely, you know, folk leaning. So highly recommended. This is the '89 Specialty Records pressing. It was a direct metal master cut, mastered at Masterdisc. Sounds great. Another artist where it's difficult to get your hands on those early records from the late 1960s into, I think the last Scott solo album was 1970, maybe 71. Talking about Scott Walker. This is Scott 4, an amazing, hard to pinhole record. Just an amazing listen. Gatefold. This has recently been repressed. You can find it in some shops. I think it's on Amazon as well. I actually picked this up off a seller from Discogs for under $30. So if you've been looking for Scott Walker, the fourth solo album, many people have different opinions on which of the four Scott albums are the best, but I really like this album. Of course, it's got the seventh seal on side one. On Your Own Again, Boy Child, and yeah, this says this was originally Universal Music Operations Limited, remastered in 2013 from the original analog tapes. So take that as you will, but I will say that this pressing sounds very nice, and happy to finally get some Scott Walker in the collection. Got to give another shout out to my friend Charles, who has a new record shop in Fort Collins, Colorado, called Driver 8 Records. Yes, if you know, you know. Charles is originally from Athens, Georgia, hence Driver 8. He had a 2014 reissue of one of my favorite Jayhawks albums, Came out originally on American Recordings. This is Rainy Day Music. It's a double LP. Sounds fantastic. Great, great, great album. Gary Loris was the main guy, is the main guy currently in the Jayhawks. Love his kind of style and his influences. I saw the Jayhawks live, geez, about 10 years ago. They did a reunion tour with Mark. His last name is escaping me now, but he has now since left again, and Gary Loris is kind of the main guy, main lyricist, songwriter. Also a member of Golden Smog, that super group that includes occasionally Jeff Tweedy and others from that kind of Minneapolis and Chicago scene. Worth checking out, Golden Smog. But that is Rainy Day Music. Really, really good sounding record. Produced by Ethan Johns, executive producer Rick Rubin. Last but not least, after Christine McVie's passing, I realized I did not have a copy of one of the earlier, before Buckingham Nicks, Fleetwood Mac era, the era. I have a copy of picked up a copy of Bare Trees. This has got a couple of amazing Christine McVie songs on it that you don't hear very often. That would be Homeward Bound on side 1, and then on side 2, Spare me a little of your love. Gorgeous, gorgeous song. Nice piano playing by Christine. Great vocals by Christine as well. Kind of a sleeper Fleetwood Mac album. This is back with Bob Welch was in the band, Danny Kerwin. There it is on that Steamship Reprise label. And I think this is a later 70s reissue. This album was originally released in 1972. Bare Trees, Fleetwood Mac. Great album. That's a quick look at some of the new additions to the collection. I'm going to be back soon with something new. Thanks for tuning in again. Please consider subscribing. If you are new to the channel, the more subscribers I have, the more chance my videos have a chance to kind of spread out amongst the YouTube